So Kylie, this episode is all about business development.
Was there a change in your approach nowadays to maybe what it was when you first got into the industry?
I stopped talking about those days where it was 150 calls, 15 client meetings.
Why doesn't that work anymore?
There's no desk phone. That was all we were used to. When the desk phone rang right next to our screen, you pick it up. That ring would force you to pick it up. Now, everyone's phone's on silent or, it's in their pocket or they're just not connecting like that these days. Again, which is why networking events, industry forums, being seen is just so important because people get to know you. We generally go out sometimes to meetings in pairs, having that car chat on the way or that tram chat on the way.
Tram chat, that's very Melbourne, isn't it?
Tram chat.
Tram chat. All right, I'm going to use that.
I just made that up.
Yeah.
I haven't used that
All right, Kylie Jasinski from Prime Recruitment. Thanks for joining us on Confessions.
Thank you for having me.
So Kylie, this episode is all about business development, building your desk, building out your network, getting jobs on, building the pipeline, this type of flavour. So I think I'm really excited to go through exactly what your process is, what you've done in your business, running it 6.5 years. And so let's just start though, for people who don't know you, to talk about who you are, where you've came from, and some of the successes in your career over the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, sure. I'm the founder, director of Prime Recruitment, as you mentioned, 6.5 years now in the property and construction industry. So we're very much a boutique specialist in that space. Where I come from was property originally, and funny enough, the consultants in Prime have all come from property backgrounds as well. So it's very handy to be able to understand the intricacies of the market and the challenges that I suppose our clients face in business and in market as well. But going back to that, as I said, real estate was the beginning of my career, selling homes in Williamstown, and fortunate enough to have received a call from someone I used to work with who had joined Hudson from real estate, and he said, "Listen, I think you need to come and sit down with me and have a chat and find out what this recruitment game's all about." So I did, and I didn't actually get the job with Hudson, funny enough. I thought I'll go to a boutique and learn from some of the industry best rather than the bigger bigger players in the industry. I just felt that more aligned with me and what I needed to learn and what I need to know. So I joined PKL, business support recruitment firm, and started the temp desk there for Melbourne. So it was all business support recruitment, fast-paced temp desk, got it up to sort of 80 odd staff out. And it was very transactional, but it taught me discipline, process, grit, everything that you need to run a flying temp desk. So had a great career there. And then felt the need to become a specialist. I was very much a generalist there, and pinpointed Judd Farris as a property and construction recruitment firm where, again, top talent that were seen in the industry and somewhere I could bring my passion for property into the game of recruitment. So I joined Judd Farris and spent 7 years there, cementing my love for property in that industry, and also love for recruitment and facilitating careers and seeing businesses thrive. So I had a great career there. Before Future You knocked on the door, which is where Ed and I spent time together. Yeah.
What's Ed really like?
I was good at table tennis.
Most definitely.
I remember we'd play table tennis and Kylie was just smashing the ball.
He was boom, boom, boom. I'm like, these calls, I don't know what they think we're doing in the background here, but we're having fun.
That's so good.
Yeah.
So how long were you at Future You for?
2.5 years.
Yeah.
I think it's about that, wasn't
Nearly,
it?
yeah, nearly 3.
I think I started just before you, but left before you as well. So yeah, it would have been about that, I think.
I went on mat leave from Future You, and then decided whilst I was on maternity leave to start Prime. So, but yeah, Future You was a fantastic opportunity to again go back into startup land, but do it with experienced operators in the industry from all parts of the globe, all different sectors, and the people who were at the helm of Future You, and certainly those that were coming in to build a desk and build a presence, were experts in their field. So I just knew I wanted to be surrounded by that, which was a great journey.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And
Kylie
then
was one of the highest performers, if not the highest performer in Future You as well. So,
really?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah,
big
good times.
big tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. All right. Well, I'm glad we're talking about BD then. If you're one of the high performers. No, that's really good. And so then in 6.5 years, you run your own agency.
Yes.
Give me a bit of a description on your agency at the moment. You do construction, recruitment. Is it yourself? Do you have staff? What does that look like?
We specialise in property, so the full life cycle of property, depending on where that project might be at, or otherwise, where the business is servicing the industry. All role types, really anything from a coordination level and in between up to executive. We have 4 consultants that specialise in their market sector of the property life cycle. So that's design, engineering, project management, construction, real estate, property development. And how that, I suppose the thought process behind that was to embed ourselves into the market that circulates and networks, and people can change, their careers within the industry. So it all sort of feeds around the full property life cycle, where we can sort of tap in and provide insights and facilitate careers essentially.
Yeah, that's a perfect segue into the start of essentially the BD journey, which is deciding what niche to go into and how to map the market essentially and know if that niche that you're going into is going to be fruitful. So you have 4 divisions essentially currently at your business.
4 consultants that focus in their core areas.
In each, And so how do you know that sector is worth pursuing? And maybe if I can put this from the lens of maybe an experienced recruiter, they're not getting the wins in their industry at the moment. They're thinking about changing niches and they're wondering, how do I change my niche? What do I focus on? Like, how do you go about that?
Yeah. I feel you sort of need to know your drivers. And again, I mean, personally, property is a passion of mine. I do development on the side and always been investing in property. So it aligns with me. It's an interest. So I know when, whether we're growing or hiring, it's really getting down into, as I said, the drivers and the passion, for an industry. So I think you've got to know that it aligns, and the people in that or the projects in that space, is something that you're interested in, because, when you're doing your research and your market mapping or you're having those client conversations, you need to know you're going to connect. And I'm not saying you're going to connect with everyone, but you need to have some common ground, obviously, to build that relationship. So, yeah.
Good advice. So just find something that you've got a passion in.
Yeah.
So for you, obviously, property and construction.
Yeah.
If it's someone else, I don't know if they've got a medical background, maybe try medical. Is that kind of like the flavour of what you're going
and
for?
Sometimes, it doesn't have to be that black and white. So it can, again, it's probably just, knowing that you're about to invest in an industry where you want to be seen as an advisor. So you need to look at the long term. Yeah, it's not going to be just a sidestep or a short step. I think if you know that recruitment is for you and you're passionate about that, then aligning yourself with an industry will lift your credibility, your reputation, and it will feel like you're relationship building rather than having to sell people or prospect within a business for a need.
Within your own business now, obviously you're 4 consultants operating in the specific areas. What made you pick one before the other? Is it just about finding the right consultant, or is it like we can see lots of jobs over there, we're going to go there first?
Yeah, I suppose having experience with Judd Farris, being a property and construction specialist, it's and as I said, just knowing the desks that sort of feed, it's a lot of, there's a lot of lead sharing and information sharing within the business in the property space. So again, we're all able to, work with a large global client or a national client or otherwise, and work across their entire business through, in what they do. So again, it's probably more focused on a collaborative approach internally within the business to make sure that the consultants are able to, share information and opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
So what's the first step for someone, let's say you've just hired them and they need to go out and build their desk, so to speak. Yeah. Like what's step one? How do you coach them or give them advice on what the first step is? Is it build a hit list? Is it send out a bunch of emails? Like, can you walk us through that?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously the database that I've built over the last sort of 6 years is, all cold, warm, and hot contacts, call them, who we've placed with, who we've met with, who we've had a job on with. So there's a lot of information in the database to start with. It's, I suppose, I'm very much sort of coaching with the consultant on the marketplace, what it's doing currently, who's who in the zoo, and then, again, using the tools in the database to be able to, purely print off lists of information and history and all that goodness that comes with them having confidence to pick up the phone, introduce themselves and their experience, and, be able to provide insights and ultimately, get that meeting with the client to understand their business and start providing value. So there's, naturally a lot more calls, contacts, to be made, but then using LinkedIn, being able to showcase their profile and start to build those contacts, communicate, reputation follows at the same time.
Yeah, we were talking about leads before, and you mentioned you do a lot of like networking events. Like, walk us through how your kind of networking events and showing up physically ties into lead generation.
Yeah, it's, in the property industry, it's very heavily networked. Everyone's delivering a building or a project, and it's such a strong team-based delivery model and approach. So it comes down to, everyone in the property industry wanting to network and knowing that's best for business and for relationships. So you need to be seen, in that crowd. We need to be seen as the advisors on what the employment market is doing, what candidates are seeking, understand what businesses, what their strategy is to grow and the talent that they need. So again, being present in forums, networking events, providing material for industry, research and information that's sort of, circulating daily is really valuable.
Did you ever feel like you didn't have any value to give before you started going to these networking events? Like, I'm just trying to put on my 2-3 year experienced recruiter hat on and
showing up at an event,
go and
ask for jobs,
and then go provide some value. You'd be like, oh fuck, I have no idea. So did you ever feel that? How did you overcome it?
Oh, of course. I think naturally for everyone sort of stepping into a room, whether it's a round table of 10 people or whether it's, 500 to 1,000, some of these property events can be. I suppose it's just knowing your value, knowing what you know. You don't need to know everything, of course, but you just need to be curious, listen, get to know people, to be honest with you. It's all about being authentic. Like, you're not going to walk into a room and pretend that you're someone that you're not, or you know everything. But what you do know is about, and it's doing the research daily, trends, whether, it's the candidates that you've been talking to or interviewing and what they want, and, sharing that information with someone else. And as I said, you're not going to, verbal diarrhea on everyone, what you know and how you go about recruitment. But as I said, it's just being curious and being present and being seen. It does take time, no doubt about it. And as I said, confidence comes with that. But yeah,
how often do you go to the events? How many are there that happen?
Look, there's, obviously time has to permit, but the industry events where everyone's there to, just, there's really no topic of conversation around work or the industry. We're all just getting together and having a chat, whether it's the AFL Grand Final event, it's the Christmas event, and, literally there's no agenda. It's just catching up. How's business been the last 12 months? Or, what are you looking forward to? How's your holiday? How's the kids?
So you just start to become that familiar face in the industry.
Yeah. As I said, it's building a relationship, and that doesn't always have to be work orientated. It can be, just sharing the wins, sharing the losses, whatever that might look like.
How do you keep on top of events like that? That's probably something that I probably have a gap in is attending these types of events, even if it's like a grand final or an industry event, that type of thing. Yeah. Is there any kind of, I don't know, do you have an event calendar that you go, these are the top 4 events in our industry that we should probably go to and network with people, or what does that look like? Yeah,
in your industry who's affiliated with what. So I was on the committee for the Property Council of Australia for a number of years. So that's always been a regular you get emailed, obviously. You subscribe to these things, or you're otherwise involved, or you're doing your research to know who's attending, or when you are attending these, what else they're a lot of these industry events and networking forums, they're born again with others that want to do it a little bit differently, or want to do it a little bit more exclusive, or want to do it larger. So I think if you're always sort of present or keeping up to date with, urban developer or any piece of industry news, they're not just pushing out changes to legislation or planning schemes. They're generally pushing out how can we all get together to collaborate, and how can we all get together, for the greater good of this industry. So you're regularly updated, no doubt about it. You just got to pick and choose what fits.
What's the difference between a lead and a job on? Because I run into this with my consultants. Sometimes I go, I've got like 10 jobs. Sometimes there's like, you talk about metrics of like where you want your pipelines. Like you've got to have 10 jobs on. Chances are you'll fill 3 of them. You'll do 30K for the month. Like just these general kind of metrics.
Yes.
If we're thinking about like actual jobs on versus just a lead.
Yeah.
Do you distinguish them in some capacity? Like
absolutely.
How so?
Oh gosh, there's, we have in the business we have processes in play. I mean, we use Bullhorn, we use analytics, we have metrics that track processes from a lead, and a lead is a piece of information, whether it's a client name, a business, a project. It's basically it's information, and then the lead turns into an opportunity, and it's just through qualifying, again through having conversation or having a second touch point, getting some answers to some questions to find out there's, being curious about an opportunity, and then an opportunity will lead to a client meeting, which leads to obviously a job on if that happens to be the case. So we qualify a lot of the information that we're gathering to make sure that it's going to end up to a job on.
Yeah.
But a job on isn't a job on unless it's fully qualified.
Yeah.
And we're looking, we've got a commitment from the client and us in terms of the approach, the strategy to the hire, what we're looking for. Like there's just, so much that goes into it to make sure that the job is on.
Yeah.
It could just be as simple as, I guess, the recruiting
Sign
over there,
terms.
happy to have a conversation. They've got a job. You haven't been given it. It's not exclusive. It's just
It's a lead.
over there. Yeah, it's a lead. Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah. A lead is essentially a bit of information that leads to an opportunity that leads to, more and
You
more.
did mention earlier about, not as many people pick up the phone nowadays. And so that might adjust how you do some of your BD. And we talked about you being a lot more present on LinkedIn right now. Is there a change in your approach nowadays to maybe what it was when you first got into the industry? Absolutely.
Don't we know it? Like I stopped talking about those days where it was 150 calls, 15 client meetings. We used to have to.
Why doesn't that work anymore? Does it work?
Well, there's no desk phone, number one. That was all we were used to. When the desk phone rang right next to our screen, you pick it up. Like, that ring would force you to pick it up. Now, everyone's phone's on silent, or, it's in their pocket, or, they're just not connecting like that these days. Again, which is why networking events, industry forums, being seen is just so important, because people get to know you. So it's definitely changed. But it's more now about that. Back then it was about volume. Now it's about quality. So yes, our quotas for calls per week have dropped to what I used to know it, but certainly to a standard that's reflective of, yes, people picking up the phone, having meaningful conversations. But now with the power of LinkedIn to be able to connect and people may just want to type at night a response to you rather than pick up the phone during the day. So you will, if you're using LinkedIn as a way to connect, present sort of who you are, see if there's an opportunity to chat. There's a little bit that I can add. What can you bring to the conversation? And then great, you're either on the phone or you're in that meeting and getting into, quality conversations. So you've always got to have a few different avenues to make sure that you've got leads that are being generated, and one thing I've known the last sort of few years is this can happen while you sleep, so we're using the database to reconnect with or to connect or reconnect with clients ongoing. We're not bombarding them, but we're making sure that there's tools happening in the background to keep touch points up, because we know that we can only do so much on the phone these days.
Interesting point. I think my phone's been on silent for about 15 years. If there's a number, I'm like, nah, who would be calling me? Put that down. But you talk about generating activity when you're asleep. So what kind of tools do you use, or have you got any software that's pretty good that you guys use?
We use Bullhorn, and it's for the automation part in that. We spent a fair bit of money to get that all up and away. Okay. I'm no guru when it comes to systems or admin. Like, outsource that and make sure that someone can implement, and then we just follow. So that's been great for, as I said, touch points. The database can, emails the database can send out to qualified clients in there. Reminders for when, a client hasn't been spoken to for X amount of time, or we've had a job on with them and it's been, a period of time that we haven't been able, we haven't seen the next come through. So we've got prompts and reminders coming into our inbox daily to reconnect or to add value or to, provide an insight. And then there's little bits and pieces happening behind that keeps the marketing circulating with our clients. It's not too much if we get any feedback from someone to say, nothing right now, or, it's, I haven't got time for this, then of course we'll address the situation, but it very, very rarely happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you kind of talked a bit about video content, and I've seen a bit more of yours recently. Is that something you're very deliberate about, or is it kind of, okay, I'm off to meet a client, so maybe take the opportunity, or do you think, hey, I need to get a couple of pieces of content out this week because I know how effective it can be? Yeah,
I just felt that I suppose when we talk, because all the consultants within Prime, I want to make sure that they're being, as I said, building the reputation in the industry, sort of being seen, adding value. And of course, we all knew that, video was steadily increasing, and, you don't want to be falling behind the A game there. So it was a push, and, it still feels really uncomfortable, but it's working, because, again, we're able to leads will come in where someone will say, I saw you online here, or I saw this podcast that you did, or I saw this interview that you did. And, it's real. It's not just saying how we do it and what we do. We're putting our face and our voice out there to say this is why we do it. And, our passion obviously comes through when we talk about why we do it and how much we love doing what we do. Yeah. And videos capturing that.
What if, with a click of a finger, you could start your own recruitment agency? Well, now you can. With XRecruiter, launching your own agency has never been easier. In less than 3 weeks, you could be taking home 85% more of your billings, with everything handled for you. You recruit, we take care of the rest. Click the link in the description to see if you are ready to take that next step. Discovery calls.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like taking job briefs.
Well, I guess how I look at it is the job brief is there's a job there, right?
Yep.
You're going to take a discovery call or a discovery meeting or an initial meeting, which is, okay, I'm going to meet a client, but there's no real agenda yet. I'm not there to pick up a job, but I need to do some fact finding. I need to learn about the business, their needs, what's worked in the past. So it's kind of that client meeting initial phase. Does that kind of make sense? I'm curious from your perspective. I mean, everyone thinks of it differently, I'm sure. But what do you see works in yours? If it's a brand new person you've never met and you meet them for the first time, whether it's you or whether it's one of your consultants, what are some of the things you've seen great consultants do? Some things they've missed? Just what's Kylie's view on what a good one looks like or a bad one looks like?
This is meeting with the client to pick up the job brief?
No, not the job brief.
So
you're meeting with them or talking to them for the first time. Yeah. You don't know if there's a job there yet.
Okay, sure.
But you're just fact finding, you're working it out. Yeah.
We do set an agenda. So before we see the client, the information we've taken from the phone call to book the meeting, we always send an agenda the day before the meeting, obviously to confirm the time. But here's point 1, 2, 3, and 4 that we'd love to cover off in 30 minutes with you. We know time's precious, but let's set an agenda and stick to it. Very rarely happens, but at least it gives the prospect confidence that, we're going in to talk shop. We want to understand your problems, and then, we can talk
Brings
about.
a level of professionalism to the meeting, I guess.
Yeah, I don't hear anyone saying I set an agenda.
I did it in my old job. I didn't do it in recruitment, to be honest. I'll be like, let's meet for a coffee. And I'll work my way through it. So
Yeah. Everyone's time's precious, and I suppose in the property industry too, in my experience, you can talk about it all day. But if we're really wanting to add value to the meeting and make sure it's best use of time, well, then we want to understand sort of, where you've been, where you're going, your challenges with regards to people, and, obviously how we can provide value in response to that. So the agenda has really helped, as I said, especially with time poor people in the industry. Going into the meeting, it's 80% listening, 20%, talking once you've been able to pinpoint some problem or challenge over there, and being able to provide some solutions or some considerations for, how we can add value.
I was going to say, do you try and bring insights to that meeting, that initial meeting, things that's happening in the industry?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
And that's, again, the fourth point on our agenda. What can we provide?
Do you do like research?
Research?
Yeah, before the meeting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What are you researching specifically? So if you're going to go meet with a builder, what would you be researching specifically before your meeting with a builder that may or may not have a need?
Yeah, their website. We're going through to see their key people, their message, whether it's their values are mentioned, their past projects, future projects, just so we can wrap our head around where it all stands today. LinkedIn. So we're looking at their business on LinkedIn. Obviously, their retention is specified. Their gender balance. It's a big thing in property and construction at the moment. Gender, diversity, inclusion, big topic, and that all comes back to human resources and an overall umbrella. And obviously, we can talk to that through what we're doing with other clients and what we're seeing in the industry. We're looking at the candidates or their employees and their backgrounds and their profiles so that we can get an understanding of where they've come from, and other competing businesses. We're very much doing our research through those means.
How much time do you spend on that? I used to get really irritated when consultants would just wing a meeting and not do any research, and I'd have to take control because I hadn't really done anything. How much time do you think someone, and I'm thinking about the new recruiters out there or a year into their recruitment career, how much time should they be spending prepping for that meeting?
Time? I'd suggest a good hour maybe. There's again, jumping, whatever information you can find from the website or LinkedIn, you go down a rabbit hole if you're really curious about it. So, I'd look, half an hour to an hour, talking to other consultants in the business. What do they know about that builder? Maybe with Jasmine working in development, some of her developers may have engaged that builder before. What's been their experience? So sharing as much intel and doing as much research as you possibly can. Like we generally go out together, so in pairs sometimes to meetings, having that car chat on the way or that tram chat on the way just to, share.
Tram chat, that's very Melbourne, isn't it?
Tram chat.
Tram chat. All right, I'm going to use that.
I just made that up.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's like the one question, or is there like one question that you find that you ask that generally just opens up a deeper level of conversation with clients?
One that I've been asking lately is, what does this performer, what does this candidate, what is the success or the outcomes that they will be showing you at 6 months or at 12 months? And that way you can reverse the brief. I mean, the brief can be very much about the job description, the position description and, the key tasks. But what you really want to know is what the client is seeking or the employer is seeking in terms of outcomes. So that way you can tailor, once you get the outcome of what this successful candidate will look like, how they're performing, what they're achieving at 6 or 12 months, you can really get what the client is ideally seeking from a successful candidate.
I like that. That's really placing that candidate in a future state with that client potentially. Yeah, it's a good mindset thing.
So that way it's all about outcomes. It's not about what I need them to do today. and duties and responsibilities and expectations and experience. It's what does that, because everyone wants top talent, everyone wants a high performer, but what does that actually look like to you, Mr. Client, Mr. and Mrs. Client? What does that look like, and how can we work back from that?
When did you start being more outcome focused when taking a job brief rather than taking a job brief based on skills and experience?
Oh, when I become less transactional, I suppose.
Yeah.
You've got to look at it as like a journey, whether it's, a journey with the relationship, a journey with the business, a journey on this recruitment exercise. We're always seeking to solve problems, and that's getting outcomes. So it's really getting out of you can sit there and ask 20 questions about, the job itself, but, the talent in the industry is, as I said, it's all about, it's high performance, it's outcomes driven. So you need to focus on that as well.
Yeah.
And asking basic questions that you can read will not hold you in good stead in a 30-minute meeting where you're really wanting to set strategy and you're wanting to set, the tone for the value in the relationship and the value in the exercise.
I think that's the, sorry to interrupt, that's like the money there. You talked about that in your discovery calls, which is what are the challenges you're facing. Businesses exist to solve problems and challenges, and recruitment exists for the same thing. So to solve that, what outcome do you want from that? It's all interconnected. So I feel that has to be the shift to being more of a true consultant versus an order taker.
Exactly. Yeah.
So how do you, when you're taking this job brief, you're talking about the outcomes that the candidate is responsible for achieving at 6 months and at 12 months. What about like pain points of the client, whether that be through their hiring processes, who they've hired in the past, this type of thing? How deep do you go on the current pain that they're going through through that kind of hiring journey?
Yeah, deep enough. And there's, obviously a lot of, well, if you can, if you're building rapport with the client or with the, the employer, the decision maker, to dive deep into that, you will get most of the time that it's time poor. There's pressure of a project about to begin. So again, to recruit this person, it's a condensed period of time. The other problem or challenge for them might be that they just, again, they don't have the reach in terms of their network to be able to, find this person. The cost as well. So what's the cost of the person not being in this role? There's generally, they're probably the four main problems or, issues that we're uncovering for a client in this industry.
Do you find clients respond and engage better based on their pain or the outcomes that they're looking to achieve?
Pain first and foremost. I suppose we're understanding, we're providing obviously a solution through insights and experience and the way that we go about finding talent to get the outcome. So I'm trying to answer your question there. It's their pain that we're uncovering, their problems that we're trying to understand, and then, they're coming to us for the outcomes, and that's where the value sits in providing that outcome. There's magic, there's method in the madness, of course, and then we'll go into how we go about it, how we do it, why we do it, what we do.
Yeah, I guess that's a journey. It's uncovering the pain to the point where they're engaged enough to then start focusing on what the outcome is.
The pain to go away.
Yeah. This is going to be the outcome to remove that pain.
Yes.
So that's good. And so what about like vague or unsure clients? Like one of the challenges that sometimes I faced was getting a job brief from a hiring manager that doesn't actually really know why they're hiring, what they're hiring for. They're a bit vague. Is there any strategies that you've got that helps remove this kind of vague, general job brief chat to something a little bit more tangible and specific?
Yeah. I suppose it's that type of scenario can just be the beginning of the relationship. We're not all expecting to sort of go in there, solve problems and get quick wins. So again, that's just understanding, the growth plans of the business, the type of business they're looking to build, what it's based around, values or, fast growth, delivering projects. whatever it might be. I suppose that type of vague client is more about sort of sitting down and understanding where they are today and where they want to, be in the near future. If there's not a role there right now, we could be sitting back and discussing, well, okay, if you win this project next month, what does the structure look like? Is it a project coordinator, a site manager, a PM, and a project director? So we're sort of sitting down with them and saying, well, our client over here that we've recently recruited for on a similar build structured their project this way. So we're leaving them with information to be able to consider if they are feeling a bit vague, and it's hopefully adding value for them to get to a decision point or understand, what the competition down the road is doing and how they're doing it, or otherwise, get them to a point where, it's about timing. It might not be tomorrow, as I said. It could be, in a couple of months' time. They're calling back to say, all right, we're ready now. Green light, let's go. But at least we've been able to provide some value to get them to make a decision when they're ready. And again, if they are quite vague, well, then it's sort of reversing, okay, well, when you are at decision to make, to finding, candidate A, this is the process that it will look like. So, we'll sit down and go through the position, all the key requirements, and then what we do is, obviously take that to market and, our sourcing strategies and our recruitment map timeline and give them some insights to how long it's going to take thereafter, because they're sometimes unaware of the time and obviously, the process that it takes to find the hire. So again, in getting them to make that decision, it's probably looking into 8 weeks beyond that, knowing they've got someone in the role. And then that makes them, sit back and go, well, geez, I need to make a decision a little bit quicker. Let's get our skates on. Let's work together on getting it evolved.
What about like objection handling? Like what are the main objections that you're facing and how do you overcome them?
The main objection would be we already work with a recruiter. We already have a relationship with another recruiter. That would, that's the most common.
Are they pretty loyal in your space?
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
I thought property and construction they wouldn't be. They'd just be like, whatever, mate. Aren't they like just?
Well, I think we don't know.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, there's there's. I mean, I've got 16 years experience and there's others that have 20, 25 that have been doing construction recruitment. Yeah. They're really close with their clients. They're just, and same with me. I'm a phone call away from saying I need someone. Okay, great, we're off.
Yeah.
And then that takes time and experience and relationship building, of course. So, yeah, there is a lot of conversations I'll have with new clients, cold clients that are telling me that they've already used someone, and it's either been successful or it's not. Okay. So at that point in time, you're either getting the call back to say, well, this hasn't worked out for X, Y, Z reasons. We're willing to give you a shot now. So yeah.
So it's predominantly competition, you'd say, in your space. Yeah. And,
it's just acknowledging that, it's great to hear you've had such a long-standing relationship with a recruiter in the industry. I'd be grateful if my clients were to say that with any other recruiter calling you. Nice. And then it's, we're obviously having this conversation right now, but is there anything, that you'd like, anything that could be done differently? Have you faced any hurdles? Is there, anything that haven't been able to deliver a service upon, or, again, just being curious to find out if there has been any,
Well, I was going to ask that, is there anything that you like hearing? And I like how you answered that, actually. And I used to answer a similar way, which was, what do you give them out of 10? As an example, 8, what would it take to get them to a 10? Would you give me 20 minutes to show you how I could do something, whatever it was. But is there any objections you like hearing because you feel you got a good response or a good way of answering it, or would it be just the one you just said then?
Yeah, I think I like that one because I suppose it resonates with me because it does show value that particular client values a relationship. And that's obviously important to me, to us, and I'd say that'd be the one that I like. Yeah. Even though it's an objection. But every objection is an opportunity. It's not a no. And if you're resilient enough to sort of say, okay, well, I'm hearing you. I'd love to see what the journey might look like. You're not going to hear from, whenever you want to hear from me next, I'm not sort of walking away from a no. It's, okay, well, how do we start
So not right now.
this relationship?
Yeah. I was trained to try and overcome it there and then, but there's a level of respect to that objection as well that you don't want to push it too hard.
Yeah.
But have you got any advice that you kind of give to people listening who, how to handle objections? Anything that works particularly well in your space?
Yeah, probably that one. It's a no's not a no. It's just an opportunity to, follow up at a different point in time, or, ask a curious question that might lead to them thinking differently, or, you adding some sort of, a differentiating point, adding some value, or, an insight that might just get them thinking that, what you're seeing. Get them to trust that you're the expert in your market.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it's a journey. It can take, 2, 3, 4, 5 touch points and conversations to get there. But definitely see it as an opportunity to follow that lead, or otherwise move on to the next. And, there'll be a win just around the corner. Keep going.
Can we talk about fee negotiation for a second? I'd love to learn your specific experience here, from when you first started your agency, what fees you were charging, to what fees you're charging now, and if they've changed, and if they have, how did you get the fees up from 6.5 years ago to today?
Yeah, sure. I suppose, my when I'm providing a recruitment service, obviously my fees based on experience and network, and the process in terms of getting an outcome. But I've had to obviously think broader with the business, and where other consultants are able to present a fee, whether it's negotiable or it's set. So what we've changed recently over the past 12 months is having options for clients. So, I was always, and the business was always set, our 16% fee was our average, but you have flexibility to sort of, look at the longer term prospects with a client, whether it might be volume or it's that first off exercise you want to prove that you can deliver. So there's always been flexibility, but, standard 16%. To where we are now in the market, where we want to create options and choice for clients rather than getting the objection or having to negotiate. So rather, here's 3 choices that you have. The first choice being a contingent fee, which is generally higher than the other 2 options, which option 2 would be a discounted fee but with a sign-on. So we basically charge a sign-on there, which would be a commencement fee, and then the balance upon placement. Or then the third approach is a retained. So the third, again at the discounted rate.
I like that. I'm hearing that more and more, to be honest, because human nature is to choose in threes. So to give people choice. Otherwise, if it's just one fee, the choice is yes or no. And now it's an actual choice.
Yeah.
So it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And it, it can depend on, obviously retained is more, you generally anticipate for more senior roles, whereas at least a client can see that, and, there's future there for other more senior positions. But, if it's option A or B, then at least they know the benefits of both. So the discounted rate is, we're going to get an outcome. Your commitment is there. Our commitment is there right through to the end. Option A, without it being, a sign-on or exclusivity, means, you walk them through the pros and cons essentially. Yeah. So whether you're competing against another recruiter, it's a race.
Because you're adjusting your service, right? So you're not just, okay, I'll do it cheaper. So I'm adjusting my service. Which service do you want, really? That's what it is.
Have you got any examples where you've got an OG client, they're on like the rock bottom rate from 6 years ago, and it's a bit of a punish, and you got to try and get their rates up?
You're asking for a friend.
Yeah. Have you ever had to do that?
Yeah. One thing I commit to is an account management approach with a client that's, an OG. So we will review service and terms yearly. So it's not a hard conversation to have when we have to go through a review process. Steal their time, take them out for lunch, and go through, how we've been performing. Any feedback that they need to hear, or any changes. So at that point in time, we're revising terms and really looking at, it's a strategic sort of conversation at that point in time to look at the ROI for both of us, both businesses. And as I said, implementing these 3 choices, these 3 options has been a way that we've been able to drive that process and not sort of just sit back and, keep the terms as they were 6 years ago.
How do you overcome the fear of you'll lose them if you change the goalposts on them?
Look, if I'm getting feedback through that sort of, account management conversation that our service is differing or not to expectations or, there's constructive feedback there, well then I need to consider that most definitely. But if it's all positive feedback and we're getting outcomes and we're thriving, then, it's not a hard conversation to have. Well, this is where we're at in 2025 or this is where we're going in 2026. And it's not bumping up the fees. It's just requiring or seeking more commitment to make sure that we're getting outcomes. And as I said, that's whether it's a sign-on or a discounted rate for exclusivity. There's a win-win. We all want that.
Lastly, on like fee negotiation, closing the deal, so to speak, is there any like one-liners or strategies that you take when you've been engaging with a client, everything seems like it's going in the right direction, and then for some reason they just ghost you and you're thinking, what the hell's going on? I sent them the terms, I said it's all good, but now I can't get a hold of them.
Yeah.
Do you have any strategies on how to like bring it back?
Yeah. Bring back the dead? I suppose you just got to ask that one question, like what is stopping you from moving forward? Is there, what might be the challenge or the problem you're facing to make a decision? Like what's stopping you from making a decision? What more can I provide to get you to the decision? You've also got to be patient too. Like, every business, every owner, every individual is busy. So I think you can't be pesty or, too
so you don't triple pump them on the phone.
No triple pumping. You got to let that one
Triple
go.
pumping works, man.
Does it?
Yeah.
Is that why you call me 3 times?
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one question, what's stopping you from making a decision or what's slowing you down or what more information
I just want to challenge you.
need?
I want to challenge you on this.
Yeah.
So you've said that and they haven't responded.
Okay, so you've tried email, you've tried phone, you've sent a LinkedIn message.
You basically, I don't want to like put you in a corner here, but this is basically an earn or burn situation.
Yeah.
How do you just earn their business and get them over the line, or just go, you're a time waster, see ya?
Well, look, yeah, it's got to come to a point in time where, we're not meant for each other.
They do those breakup emails, don't they? Those breakup emails, and they do get a response.
Have you seen them?
Yeah. No.
I've seen them and I've used them as well.
Me too.
There's some examples, and I can't remember what the subject is, but it's like one particular thing. Basho emails? Have you heard of Basho emails?
No.
It's a style of emailing to prospect, and it gives you the framework. And I used it at LinkedIn, I used it at Gartner, but they do breakup emails, and there's a way of framing it, and they always respond.
Swish do this as well. It's called a line in the sand.
Yeah.
And essentially the approach is if you've got a prospect and they've gone cold and you don't know how to revive them, they're not getting back to you, you just send them a line in the sand message, whether it's text or email. And essentially it's just, hey, Ed, I need to draw a line in the sand. I feel like I've been chasing you and I get nothing back.
Yeah.
If I don't hear back from you in the next 48 hours, then I'm going to just put this in the lost and closed basket.
Yeah.
Would have appreciated at least a courtesy to let me know that you weren't moving ahead. If I have confused myself or if I'm misreading the situation, please do me the courtesy in 48 hours to get back to me, because that's my line in the sand.
Yeah, okay.
The reality is everyone gets back to Kylie.
Yeah,
that's what we know.
Yeah. Kylie doesn't have this issue.
No, there's no need for triple pumping. They respond.
But usually, like most of the time, they'll come back and they'll just be really apologetic, because when you're ghosting someone and then they give you the line in the sand message and you're like, oh, I am being a bit shit. I should probably get back to them. Yeah, cool.
Well, yeah, they've got to sit with that too. And as I said, if it's not meant to be, so be it. Maybe we'll reconnect in 3 months' time, or when the timing's right for them, maybe they do call. But I suppose if you're showing your eagerness and your persistence, and you're confident in doing that, that's all you can really sort of rest on.
Yeah,
fair enough.
totally agree.
Fair enough.
Now, before we move on to Are You Smarter Than
Hey,
Ed?
can we call it Are You Smarter Than Blake today? I'm curious.
You want me to
I'd love
play?
just to
Oh.
pivot a little bit.
Mate, I'm happy
Because
for that.
I'm losing too hard at the moment. Like, just to, yeah.
Okay, well, before we move on to Are You Smarter Than Blake,
Yeah.
what is one key takeaway that a recruiter should have from listening to this podcast?
Consistency will always win. And I say that in terms of like business development is, it's about building trust, in my opinion. And when you're able to, when you're able to be consistent, persistent and provide good value, that trust is building underneath, and that will always cement the relationship with the client. You do want a long-term relationship if you're in this game for the long journey, and it will always come back to, I suppose, your reputation and that day that the client calls you and says, "I need your help."
Yeah. Doing what you say you're going to do.
Yeah.
I like that.
Be
Yeah.
consistent.
Love that. All right, Are You Smarter Than Blake?
Yeah,
Are you
that's
ready?
better. This is better because I feel like I've just been getting slammed recently.
All right.
Do you know the rules? Should I just read the rules out again?
Yeah.
Rules are your name is the buzzer. So you just say Kylie. I'll read the question and there's 4 multiple choice answers. I will read all the answers, but if you know the answer or you think you know the answer before, just say your name and I'll just stop reading and you can answer it. If you get it wrong, I'll continue reading and Blake or you can answer. Does that kind of make sense?
Yes, let's go.
All right. Okay.
And the loser has a shot of whiskey.
When did Randstad launch? A. 1920. B. 1985. C. 1960. Or D. 1980.
Blake,
So,
can you repeat the
No.
answers?
oh, there's a few there.
Yeah, no. You don't have
A.
a second chance. Bow,
D.
bow.
Thank God.
C.
I did repeat it for Kylie.
All right. Well, I'm glad that we both got it wrong.
What's the average cost per hire globally? A. 10 to 15K. B. 4 to 6K. C. 20 to 30K. Or D. 8K.
Blake. 8K.
Bow.
What?
B.
Average cost.
Correct.
What is it?
4 to 6K.
Oh,
I
goodness.
remember there's like some, currencies, there's some countries doing things very cheap. So 1-0 Kylie.
Woohoo.
Yes. Okay. Which industry has the highest turnover rate? A. Hospitality. B. Tech. C. Manufacturing.
Kylie. A.
Correct. 2-0 Kylie. You got to get this one, mate. Otherwise, you're out.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. What does ATS stand
Blake.
for?
Applicant tracking system.
Correct.
Nice
okay.
one.
So 2-1.
Let's go.
What was Corn Ferry's specialty when founded? A. Temporary staffing. B. Exec search. C. Recruitment software. Or D. Training.
Kylie. B.
Correct. Kylie wins.
Well done, Kylie.
Good job.
All right, Kylie, the winner gets the shot of whiskey. I'm just not much of a drinker.
Just get it in.
Do I just do it right now?
Yeah.
Do I?
Come on, I had to do it. I hate whiskey, and I did it last time.
I need silence. I need to focus.
We won't look.
Which is some Zen music
Have a
in the
moment.
background.
Oh, well done.
Oh, he's back. He's like, I'm a drinker again. I'm a
That
drinker
wasn't too
again.
bad.
Huge thanks to Kylie for joining us, beating Blake in the Who's Smarter Than Blake.
Yay.
If listeners, clients, candidates want to get hold of you, what's the best way to do it?
I'd suggest LinkedIn. All
Yep.
the contact details and everything's there. So, yeah, connect with me on LinkedIn. That's
Amazing.
easier.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys so
Amazing.
much. Appreciate it.
Pleasure.